Tonight, I have a question for the delegates and the voters of the 5th Congressional District. Do we live in a blue state or a red state? Do we live in a blue state or a red state? All right. And we need to begin acting like it. We need to begin acting like we care about sending someone to Congress who represents our values and our interests. Let us begin to stand up and be counted tonight. Tonight, I ask you to join me, a small business person, a father of 2 off to college, an African American, a Democrat, and a Bethel resident. And I ask you to join me tonight to send a message to Washington, to send a message to Nancy Johnson, to send a message to the entire country that we here in the 5th District are blue, and we intend on being a part of the Democratic takeover of Congress. A person of integrity, a family man, and a person with the experience and the know-how to make a difference. And that's why I stand before you tonight to second the nomination of Chris Murphy. We need Chris Murphy because we need real leadership. It is not enough to act like a Democrat every campaign season. I mean, just today, Nancy Johnson found the strength to say that Congress should extend the deadline for Medicare recipients just today. She found the ability to set herself apart from President Bush and apart, ironically, from herself. Is this enough? Should we be fooled once again when Nancy tries to act like a Democrat during campaign season? I say she's been fooling us for too long. We need to always remember that Nancy Johnson's idea of health care reform is a $1 trillion Medicare drug program that confounds and penalizes seniors while generating huge profits for the pharmaceutical and insurance companies. We need leadership on reforming our health care system. I say we need Chris Murphy, who will fight for real reform. Chris's reform will ensure that every American has access to quality care, and that employers are relieved from the crushing burden of providing ever more expensive insurance coverage for their workers. Chris understands that for America to be competitive in the world, we must control our health care costs. Chris will not turn his back on the millions of Americans who are unable to afford private health insurance. On tax and budget policy. Earlier this year, Nancy Johnson voted to slash funding for Medicaid, Medicare, student loans, and child support enforcement. Do these cuts sound like they represent our values? No. Getting better at this. And just last week, Nancy Johnson voted to give huge tax cuts to the wealthiest Americans, while providing no relief to low-income workers. Does this tax cut sound like our values? No! Tax breaks to the wealthiest Americans and nothing for the rest of us. Chris will fight for the people who need his help, the hard-working men and women who struggle to get by. the seniors who rely on Medicare to survive, and the bright, young people who deserve a chance at a college education, even if they can't afford to pay the full tuition themselves. You need a truly independent voice in Washington. Nancy Johnson has supported this president and the Tom DeLays of Congress and driven our country deep into debt and deep into a morally bankrupt war under false pretenses that has killed and wounded too many of our young people. Who will stand up to George Bush and not stand with him. We need someone who will ask the tough questions and demand answers when George Bush and Dick Cheney tap our phones. This and the new Democratic House he will be a part of will hold Bush and Cheney accountable. We need a real change in Washington, D.C., folks, which means that we must act to make that change. Let us all stand up right here and right now and begin to start making that change happen here in Connecticut. I meant that literally, folks. Everybody. Let us all stand and pledge to work with Chris and pledge to make a difference in Connecticut to make Connecticut blue. Every congressional district blue, especially blue here in the 5th. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to second the nomination of Chris Murphy for the office of the United States